Yeah.
Zip line over here. The Kingfisher back.
Okay.
Because it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Hacking up.
If we get lucky.
Grenade set.
Yo! That's crazy! There is nothing more the finals coded than committing to a Hail Mary winner-take-all steal in the waning moments of a game. The last second steal can feel somewhat lucky though, happening only on occasion without any discernible major pattern or replicable mechanics. And this may seem to be the truth, to those who know no better. But for others, for those select few, it is a skill to be refined, a practiced craft, a creative discipline, an interpretive dance, poetry in motion. It is not merely a science to be studied, but an art to be practiced. So, let us take a moment to venture into the art of the last second steal. Before we begin, we must ask the question, why plan on going for a last-minute steal? I understand that sometimes circumstances force us into that position, but why would you want to aim for a late steal? What is the benefit of that play? Well, to answer that, we have to understand some concepts of team-oriented, objective-based initiatives. To start, in objectivized multiplayer play, there is a multitude of variables at work, which can include team play, individualization, coordination, communication, secondary and tertiary goals, initiatory versus opportunistic playstyles, pressure, positioning, pacing and cadence, consistency, and unpredictability. In this case, the two areas that we want to focus on are opportunistic and pace-driven gameplay. Opportunistic players, in contrast with initiatory players, are not so worried about their end-of-the-game objective score. In other words, they are not the first to open the cash box or to deliver the cash box to the cash-out station. No, opportunistic players take their time, whether it is expressed through elim-focused play, or slowing down targeted teams, or more simply wreaking havoc, or more calmly enjoying the scenery, or more malevolently trolling your teammates. But this is only done to kill time, as well as also possibly set a precedent that we are not a notable threat to the other teams actually playing objective. The number one priority of a true opportunist is to lurk and learn how each of the other teams operate. In practice, this means that light players tend to do the best at this opportunistic rat style of play, most notably fast and hard-hitting lights such as dagger or double barrel. It is worth noting though that you only technically need one of these player types in your squad to become an effective opportunistic team, so long as proper communication is taking place. But the recommendation is to always utilize fast, hard-hitting weaponry for this strategy, which is why teams with multiple melee users sometimes seem to all of a sudden show up at critical moments in a game and hit everyone hard. Notable weapons to consider for this style of play are dagger, double barrel, sniper, dual blades, riot shield, sledge, shack, flamethrower, and minigun. As for gadgets and specializations, it is almost always wise to choose something that deals damage or negates their ability to fight back, rather than something more pacifistic. although there are some exceptions. Multi-use or quick cooldown items are also of high priority. Some strong examples of this are dash, invis bomb, sometimes gateway, turret, situationally grenades and mines, charge and slam, winch, RPG, and lockbolt. Other items like healing beam or defib are typically frowned upon in this style of play because it is expected that one or two of you might die in the process, so these items essentially waste one of your gadget slots. The H+ infuser is a notable exception, however, since it is able to fully heal teammates in less than a second, which could prove to be very effective in certain scenarios. The goal is normally not to come out of the other side unscathed, but rather to hit fast and hard, and then get whatever you came for. This could be anything, ranging from possession of a cash-out station to an important team wipe. In other game modes, it might manifest as repossession of a platform in Power Shift, or a deposit of a significant quantity of coins in Bank It. In any case, the expectation is to make major sacrifices in the hopes of skirting by with a big play or a major advantage. As for cadence and pacing, the goal here is typically entirely different and detached from opportunity-driven playstyles. Because the existence of opportunity rests outside of your control, it is oftentimes impossible to implement direct and purposeful rhythms into a game via mostly random opportunities. Most of the time, developing a deliberate flow in a game like the finals is expressed as your idealized, fully coordinated and operational team. You open the cash box, you deliver it to a cash-out station, you defend said station. This gameplay tends to demand a more standard, middle-of-the-road, possibly jack-of-all-trades loadout. Mid-ranged guns with mid-sized mags, a mix of offensive and defensive gadgets, some heals, and whatever is necessary for a long, drawn-out battle of attrition. If this is your team, then you guys get to choose when and how all of this happens. You get to set the tempo. You could choose to rush and catch other teams unprepared and unready, or you could choose to distract and delay to tire out and frustrate your opponents. Or you could sporadically mix it up to remain unpredictable and difficult to follow rhythmically. But in our case, through the unionization of opportunity and cadence, there is only one area of interest that remains exploitable: the very end of the game. So, let's circle back to the beginning to address the question we had earlier. Why the last-second steal? What is its benefit? The answer, of course, is pacing and opportunity. I noted that the one area of interest that has the potential to be exploited via opportunity and pacing is the very end of the game. Why might this be? Well, pace and prey are the names of the game. Pacing is of a much larger importance for the strategy of play, since, as mentioned earlier, the marriage of pacing and opportunity is a strained one. In regards to last-second steals, it is not quite as necessary or likely to receive and exploit a great opportunity. It is to power through and to create for yourself a good opportunity. And this is primarily done through pacing. So, the reason that the final few seconds of a game are so enticing, the only moment that is so enticing to this playstyle, is the fact that it is the only situation in which opportunity and pacing are not directly at odds with one another. Because pacing is all about your control of the game, while opportunity is all about you pouncing on something that is entirely outside of your control. The opportunity in this case is actively being generated by our pacing leading up to the final integral moments of the game. Because last-second steals demand a very different loadout than the standard pace abuse style of play, we need to control the pace of the game nearing the end in a different way. For us, we need to somehow steal control from the team that currently holds the cash-out station before we actually control the cash-out station, since we already established that our loadout, crafted to hit hard and fast, will be unable to regain and maintain control once ownership of the cash-out station has been established. Or do we? What I just said would normally be the case, which is the first reason why opportunistic players are not pace abusers. But this is specifically why we target the final few moments of the game. Because, for us, we don't need to worry about regaining control of the room after we acquire the cash-out station, because the game will be ending momentarily. Instead of having to maintain control for 30 more seconds and trying to somehow res a teammate or two against respawned full health teams, we merely need to hold it off for a few more seconds, if anything at all. This is why pacing is so important for this playstyle. Timing is everything. But how does one create a good opportunity to steal without being beamed by other active players in the area? The answer is in the preparation ahead of time. Admittedly, preparation does not play the largest role in this endeavor. There isn't much room to prepare without also needing to initiate, which our loadout prevents us from consistently doing. And we cannot change our loadout to be initiators, because then we would not have the power to do what we need to do quick enough, given how time-bounded we are in this situation later. So, how do we prepare? What are we preparing for? To prepare, if you have the means and the time, you may allow the other teams in the area to fight it out and weaken each other. This makes your job a lot easier. If you have ways to deal damage at range, or are able to cut off individual or small groups of players from the rest, then you can do that with your entire team to reduce numbers. This will also make your assault on the cash-out station easier. The main part of your plan, though, revolves around your power and speed at which you can eliminate and or distract the remaining players in the area, while you or one of your teammates readies a steal. Your primary objective, once one of your teammates begins to steal, is to apply as much pressure on your remaining opponents as possible. Not just on the team that currently holds the cash-out station. Even if the game is going to end unless another team steals it, there is quite a large number of players who are utterly incapable of putting two and two together and coming to that conclusion fast enough under that kind of constraint. So, for your own sake, wipe them all out. No exceptions. The more pressure you apply on them, the less of a chance they have of tanking the damage you are inflicting, pushing past you, and killing your stealer. This is also where your time and skill in preparation starts to kick in. If you are able to draw swaths of players away from the cash-out station, they will be forced to waste half of their time just trying to get back into position. Always be willing to strike a little early if enough of your opponents are caught out of position. There is also one other aspect of this plan that I have neglected to mention until now. You must, at all costs, keep your stealer alive. This can be done in one of two ways. The stealer can temporarily stop stealing to fight back, reposition, or allow another teammate to start stealing if their health is low. Or you can help protect the stealer through heals or via body blocking. Let's talk about both of these in more detail. The stealer has an incredibly important role to play. It is very tempting to try to push through the damage and hope that your teammates kill the damage dealer, or they run out of ammo, or they start to miss enough of their shots, or whatever it might be. And sometimes this is a good, or the only, strategy that's viable. but it is also worth considering temporarily aborting to reposition, which will allow another teammate to start a fresh attempt with a larger amount of health. There is no surefire way to handle this. This is part of the reason why this is considered an art form rather than a science. Consider it improv. You must be able to read the room and respond accordingly, quickly and concisely. The fulfillment of your operation rests entirely on the success of your steal attempt. The second way to help the steal attempt is for you as the protector to defend the stealer. You could opt for a heavy stealer since he can tank a lot more damage, or you could go with a light stealer who has a smaller hitbox and is easier to body block. Another way to accomplish this is through heals, namely the healing beam or H+ infuser. These are the only two health-based items I would consider adding to your loadout. Others, like the defib, are oftentimes not worth it. Another option you have is smoke. Smoke works incredibly well, especially given the fact that it has no hard counters. However, the best way to protect the stealer is by body blocking. Body blocking is done by standing on top of your teammate and tanking as much of the damage targeted onto him as possible. It is your job to eat those bullets, even if it means you die in the process. You could have 5 health points left. It's still worth body blocking, because you might be able to block a slow, heavy-hitting weapon, such as sniper or dagger. If you are the body blocker, retreat is not an option, because you are not the priority. In order to properly body block, you need to pay close attention to where you are being damaged from and respond by moving slightly in between your teammate stealing and the enemy dealing the damage. If you are being damaged from multiple directions, items like Dome Shield and Goo Grenade are your best friends. As you are getting into and adjusting your position, continue to put these said opponents under constant pressure. Make it so that they are in immediate and constant danger anytime they peek to attack your stealer. 2 heavy miniguns sitting on top of a stealer, for example, is a very intimidating situation to be thrust into, no matter what your loadout or setup is. From personal experience, body blocking is the #1 most effective strategy to better your odds of a successful steal attempt. I would take one good body blocker over 2 of the best offensive players in the world in this situation. Do not underestimate the role of body blocking. At this point, you have arrived at what we sometimes call the plunge, the point of no return. You gambled the entire game on this one single play. Make it count. If you are the designated stealer, then your only job is to stay alive and complete that steal. Trust your teammates, but know when it's time to bail and readjust. If you are one of the other 2 teammates, then your job is to tank a death in the name of protecting your stealer. You have everything to lose if this play doesn't work out. Your life is a sacrifice worth laying down. Your team will thank you. What you have is the chance to create art. The most climactic, beautiful, rage-inducing, adrenaline-rushing play of the entire game. Sometimes it is your only hope. Other times, it's simply for the love of the game. Why forfeit a chance at greatness? Plays like this don't happen all the time. You remember it when it happens to you. Make your enemies remember you. Now, if you, at any point, are questioning my credibility on making a guide on something like this, then I highly encourage you to check out this video. Last second steals are my specialty. If there is anything in the game that I am qualified to talk about, it is this. Thanks for watching.
gosh.
Oh my gosh.